Hi, I'm Laura Hodson. Welcome to the Secret Weapons Podcast. As a small business owner, we often go to conferences, we hear tips and suggestions, but it's the same thing over and over. And what we really want to hear about is what are those secret weapon tools that a business owner might use to overcome a challenge, to get past an obstacle, to survive when it's hard to grow your business. So as we do this Secret Weapon podcast, we're going to bring you business owners that have amazing businesses, that have been through challenges, that have grown despite adversity. And we're going to ask them to share their stories and share some of those secret weapon tools that they use to overcome challenges, so that as you grow your business, you can do the same. Today, we're joined by Dean Boswell with 13 After. And Dean, tell us a little bit about 13 After. What do you do?
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So 13 After is a multifamily branding and marketing firm. So what we do is we create we come up with the names oftentimes of new apartment communities, the logo, and then all the collateral pieces that they really need to sell their brand.
So you didn't think about this when you moved into an apartment, but someone comes up with that brand that made you want to live there. When you started this business, how hard was it?
Oh man. And on one hand, it was easy because this was what I had been doing. I was a marketing director for a company here called Tribridge Residential here in Atlanta. And then I went and worked as the senior marketing director for NCI, which was the parent company of Apartment Finder, and then went and worked at an agency before I started this. So on that note, it was easy because I knew the business really well, but everything else was really tough and just really figuring out how to cash flow. That was the hardest part for us.
You know, it's easy. It's interesting because a lot of people say it's really hard to start a business, but I think you're right. I think starting a business is easy, but scaling a business and growing it is really hard.
Very.
So think back to one of those days when you were beating your head on the table or you couldn't sleep at night. What was keeping you up at night?
Definitely late invoices, cash flow, because when you have employees, I don't think a lot of people think about this. When it sounds great to say, I want to start a business, but all of the responsibility that goes along with that and realizing that if something happens to the business, your employees have to figure out what they're going to do next. That is a lot of pressure, as a business owner. It's an
awesome responsibility.
It really is. And so that kept me up at night is if I don't do this, it's not like before when I had a corporate job. If I do something wrong, I could lose my job. If I mess this up, there are other people who are going to pay for it. And that's, like you said, that's just an awesome responsibility. And that was what kept me up at night.
Yeah. So as you faced some of these challenges, whether it was a customer not paying on time or immediately, or the stress of hiring more employees and growing or bringing more contractors on, what are some of those, I call them secret weapons, what are some of the tools that you came up with? Maybe it's a personal kind of attribute that you used or that you called upon, or even an actual physical tool that you use?
Mm-hmm. So my secret weapon, I would say, has been my business advisor. And I encourage everyone to do this. Find a mentor, find someone that can guide you, someone who's been there. Because when I started the business, I had always worked in a corporate environment and always had that steady paycheck. And as a new business, you don't have that. You have to figure out how to make it happen. And my business advisor is the one who sort of read through my resume and said, you need to be a business owner. I've heard all of what you've had to say. You need to be a business owner. And I actually hired him and talked to him once a month, and I still do. And that has definitely changed things for me.
So I have a question. Where do you find a business advisor? I don't think they're in the Yellow Pages. Do we still have Yellow Pages?
I think you can find them on Google. You could look it up. If you're interested, I could give you the name of mine. He's amazing. His name's Al Stewart, and his company is Business Mentors. But you can, I would just encourage you to find someone that you click with. And I think you'll know that in the first interview. And I did with Al. One thing about him is that he keeps it real with me. He's not going to tell me what I want to hear. And that's what I need. And so, one of the things he said to me recently is, Dean, you just refuse to be fearless. And I'm scared of everything. But I'm actually jumping out of a plane in a month on my birthday. And I've always been so afraid to do it. But I just feel like if I want to take my business to the next level, I need to just overcome any fears that I have. And Al's been a big part of that. And I think even if you can't, business advisors are expensive. It's very customized and they're very experienced. So it is a cost. I look at the opportunity cost if I didn't do it, where might things go? But even if you can't afford to pay one right away, talk to someone that you know who owns a business and just take them out to lunch or coffee and see what information you can get from them.
So it's interesting that you told me that that there are people that's what they do as a business, because when you first said advisor, I was thinking you'd found a friend. And it's interesting that you brought someone in, and maybe that's a positive, that it's not a close friend, right? That can keep it real with you.
That is definitely my reason for going away from a friend, because a friend doesn't want to hurt your feelings, and a business advisor is getting paid to not worry about your feelings. The business advisor should be worried about your business and how it's going to be successful.
Right. Very interesting. So you've got this advisor, and he's helped you. Now you're going to jump out of a plane. We're going to have him back after he jumps out of the plane. So give some examples of maybe just recently where you've gotten your business going and now you are growing. And so are there any other examples of things that happen that might seem insignificant, but they really are kind of a challenge that caused you to pause your growth or think differently about it? And how did you overcome that?
One of the things for me, so I'm a virtual agency, so we have no offices anywhere. Everyone works from home, and that takes a unique person. I think not everyone wants to work from home, but because we have no offices and because we're virtual, I got very comfortable in, I can be anywhere. I can be out in California working, I can be over in Europe working, wherever I want to be, which is great. But what that did for me was sort of took my eye off of sales. And so for us, we've had that ebb and flow of sales. So that has really taught me that I have to be back here in Atlanta, which is where my core clients are, and really stay focused on, getting in front of them, because you don't want to just put sales on autopilot. Even if you get a good flow, it can quickly go away, and it begins to change the dynamic. As hard as it is to get that ball rolling, it's twice as hard sometimes to get it rolling again once it's stopped, it seems.
Well, and that's a really good point, because I think when people hear sales, they think of that initial sale, like I got the deal. But talk about how the second sale, the follow-on sale, is the harder part.
It is. And for me, sales is all about relationships. When I go and sell a client something, I truly believe in it. I believe in what we do. And so when I am selling a client something, I absolutely believe we're going to give them what they're paying for, and it's going to make them very happy. So the second sale, or when you're back, that for me is about establishing a rapport, if anything, and you really want to make sure that person trusts you. And, that you trust them. It needs to be symbiotic for sure. And I think that it's difficult, because if you don't have that personality where you want to go and establish lots of new friends, maybe it's not, maybe business or sales is not for you,
Then you have to find someone
who
wants new friends.
Correct. And pay them.
And pay them.
Yeah.
That's right. So you started your business. Now you're growing sales. What's next for you? What do you think is your next challenge?
So I'm starting a nonprofit this year, founding it. I actually have a longtime friend from grade school she has a PhD, and she's going to be the executive director. It's very cool. I can't really give the details now, but it's essentially an app that our goal is to give money to Feeding America food banks across the country. So, and I'm hoping to leverage all of my connections with the National Apartment Association, with the Atlanta Apartment Association to really, that's a big focus for our industry is food banks. And so the next chapter for me, as I grow 13 After, keep that growing, of course, but is to, begin to do more to give back. We do work with some charities, but I think once you get a business up and running, absolutely you want to keep it running, but you need to give back. You need to do something to help the community, I feel.
Right. So I think what we've heard today, which I think is invaluable, is first, get an advisor, right? It's what you don't know that'll take you down, not what you do. And you were very prepared to start your business. The second is make sure that advisor is maybe not your best friend, but someone who's gonna not just pat you on the back when you need it, but really kind of kick you in the butt when you don't know you need it. Secondly, what I heard from Dean is never lose focus on your business. It is so easy to get distracted, right? And for you, part of it was the physical freedom that you had, but losing that focus on sales and kind of stepping back could stall out even the fastest growing business, right?
Absolutely.
And then the third, which I love, is to make sure you're doing well and you're doing good. and find a way to do that at the same time so that they kind of feed each other. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm going to wait till my business is successful and I sell it, then I'll go back and give back to the community. But I think it's amazing that you're doing them at the same time. And last but not least, he's jumping out of a plane. I mean, good Lord, we're going to have to talk to you in a month after you've done this, how to become fearless.
Yeah. I would love to come back. Thank you for having me.
Do you have any parting advice that I didn't capture in our 3?
Well, I know this isn't a plug now account, but I have to say again, you guys have really saved us. And so definitely, I think, I highly recommend Now Account, but really getting your cash flow under control and making sure that you see it coming, because you can have plenty of money in the bank one month and it just goes quickly. And if you don't have that money coming behind it, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dean. And for those of you that don't know, My Business Now account is a payment system that allows you to get paid immediately in a way that feels like taking a credit card. And so I have the luckiest job on the planet because I get to work with really cool clients like Dean that are really the heroes of our economy because they're out there growing and they're creating jobs. And at Now Account, we just exist to help them do what they do and do it better. So with that, we'll say goodbye and we'll look forward to seeing all of you next time on the Secret Weapon podcast.